By day, the Forbidden City was the pride of China. But at night? It became something else entirely: silent gates, marching watchmen, and shadows filled with secrets. Tonight, we're not talking about the palace you see in the history books. We're diving into its midnight world, the Forbidden City after dark. Imagine it: towering red walls, golden rooftops stretching for miles, and more than 9,000 rooms locked away from ordinary eyes. By day, emperors ruled with ritual and power. But when the sun went down, the real stories began. The gates slammed shut. The night watch marched with clappers and drums. Eunuchs whispered in candlelight, concubines plotted in silence, and even emperors lay awake, haunted by fears and dreams. This wasn't just a palace, it was a world that never truly slept. So, tuck yourself in, let the noise of the outside world fade, and join me on a journey through the Forbidden City's hidden nights, where even the walls held secrets, and the shadows whispered of history. Imagine standing before the Forbidden City at sunset. The air is cool, the red walls tower high, and behind them lies not just a palace, but a whole universe. With more than 9,000 rooms, endless courtyards, and golden roofs stretching to the horizon, it wasn't just a royal home, it was a city within a city. But here's the catch: you couldn't just walk in. That's why it was called forbidden. Ordinary folks were locked out. Only the emperor, his family, concubines, eunuchs, and an army of workers lived here. Once inside, you rarely left. For some, it was honor. For others, it was a prison with fancy rooftops. Daytime inside was pure drama. Officials lined up before sunrise to bow to the emperor. Bells rang, drums beat, eunuchs rushed with scrolls, and guards stood so stiff they might as well have been statues. Every move followed ritual. Nothing casual. Nothing chill. And the design? Oh, it was cosmic. Built on strict feng shui, every gate, hall, and roof had meaning. Red walls for protection, yellow tiles for imperial power, dragons curling on beams, lions guarding gates. Even the number 9 repeated everywhere, the emperor's sacred number. Different areas had different vibes: outer courts for politics, inner courts for family, gardens for quiet strolls. Yet, no matter where you went, someone was watching. Guards at gates, eunuchs in halls, forget sneaking out for a midnight snack. Still, there was magic. Imagine lanterns glowing softly under the night sky, golden roofs shimmering in the moonlight. The Forbidden City wasn't just stone and wood, it was alive, breathing, and waiting. And once the sun went down, it became a world of shadows and secrets. As the sun slipped behind the walls of Beijing, the Forbidden City changed its mood. The busy day of officials bowing and shouting reports was over. Now it was time for the emperor's evening rituals. First came dinner. And trust me, this wasn't a plate of noodles and soup. Dozens of dishes were prepared: meats, soups, rice, vegetables, desserts. Imagine a giant buffet made for one man. The emperor would taste a little here, a little there, and most of it was left untouched. The lucky part? The eunuchs and guards often ended up with the leftovers. Not a bad job perk. After eating, emperors had different ways to wind down. Some prayed, burning incense to heaven. Some wrote poetry or listened to music. Others, less romantic, used this time to make last-minute orders, sending rice to a province or planning punishments for corrupt officials. Sunset didn't always mean rest. Then came security. Eunuchs and guards moved through the halls, locking doors, checking windows, and making sure no fires burned too bright. In a palace built almost entirely of wood, fire was enemy number one. Candles, lamps, and even kitchen stoves were strictly controlled. And what about the emperor's bedroom? Surrounded by guards. Protected by eunuchs. Some emperors even changed rooms every night, just to confuse potential assassins. Bedtime in the palace was less sweet dreams and more, let's hope nobody tries to kill me tonight. Yet, under the silks and crowns, the emperor was still human. Many feared the night, haunted by omens, nightmares, or thoughts of betrayal. And so, as lanterns dimmed and the palace grew quiet, the emperor tried to rest, while the night watch prepared to keep the forbidden city safe until dawn. When the sun dipped below the horizon, the forbidden city didn't just go quiet, it locked itself down. Literally. 18 massive gates sealed the palace like a giant treasure chest, each one guarded, checked, and bolted shut. Closing the gates wasn't a casual job. It was a serious ceremony. Guards marched with torches, eunuchs carried keys bigger than some swords, and every lock clicked into place with a sound that echoed across the courtyards. That echo told everyone, the day was over, and the night belonged to the watchman. Each gate had its own team of guards, and these men weren't just standing around. They had secret codes, signals, and watchwords. Think of it like the world's strictest password system, except if you forgot it, you didn't get locked out of your account, you lost your head. The Forbidden City was huge, and security was everything. A single unlocked gate could mean disaster. Imagine if someone slipped in, an assassin, a thief, or even a rival spy. That one mistake could topple an empire. So, guards triple-checked every door, every bolt, every shadow. There are stories of gates being tested by surprise inspections, just to see if guards were alert. Fail the test, and the punishment was harsh. No one wanted to be the guy who fell asleep on duty and let in an intruder. By the time the last gate slammed shut, the palace became an island cut off from the world. The noise of Beijing faded outside, while inside, silence ruled. Only the faint sound of watchmen's footsteps and the distant call of a drum reminded everyone, the Forbidden City was asleep, but never unguarded. Once the gates clanged shut, the palace didn't go completely silent. That's when the night watchmen took over. These men were the real night owls of the Forbidden City, marching through courtyards, patrolling endless corridors, and making sure nothing suspicious moved under the moonlight. They weren't just random guards. The night watchmen had uniforms, ranks, and a rhythm to their work. Each carried a wooden clapper or bell, which they struck at intervals while walking. Clack, 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 clack. The sound echoed through the palace, almost like a heartbeat reminding everyone, yes, the watch is awake. Yes, the palace is safe. But their job wasn't as simple as walking in circles. They had routes, times, and signals. The Forbidden City was so massive that missing a corner could mean missing a fire, a thief, or worse. Some patrols overlapped, so watchmen constantly crossed paths, like little checkpoints to make sure nobody wandered off for a nap. And naps were dangerous. If you got caught dozing on duty, punishment was brutal. In an empire where even a candle flame could threaten thousands of wooden halls, one sleepy guard could spell disaster. But it wasn't all fear and discipline. Some watchmen left little notes to each other, warning about suspicious noises or bragging about how fast they'd done their rounds. A few even invented songs to sing under their breath, just to keep from getting too creeped out by the shadows. So while the emperor snored, or tried to, these night watchmen gave the Forbidden City its rhythm. Step by step, beat by beat, they marched through the darkness, guardians of a palace that never truly slept. The Forbidden City at night wasn't just about clappers and locked gates. Shadows hid secrets, and the night watch had more to worry about than stray cats. Intruders were a real threat, smugglers, spies, even assassins bold enough to try sneaking into the emperor's home. The palace was full of dark corners and hidden paths. Some legends say there were underground tunnels leading outside the city. Whether true or not, guards always feared someone might slip in under cover of darkness. The watchmen had sharp ears, trained to catch the faintest rustle of footsteps or the creak of a door. But it wasn't only outsiders who caused trouble. Palace life was full of rivalries. Eunuchs plotted against each other, concubines schemed for power, and sometimes servants tried to sneak stolen treasures out of the gates. Imagine smuggling jade under your robes and praying no one noticed the clinking sound. The punishments for getting caught were brutal. A thief could lose more than just his loot, he could lose his head. That fear kept most people in line, but temptation never fully disappeared. The Forbidden City held too much wealth, too many secrets, to resist forever. And then there were the rumors. Strange figures spotted moving along rooftops, whispers carried down long corridors, doors that opened and shut with no one around. Were they spies? Were they ghosts? The night watchman didn't always want to know. Sometimes it was easier to strike the clapper and keep walking, pretending the shadows were empty. In truth, the Forbidden City was never completely quiet. Behind the silence, secrets moved in the dark. And the night watch? They walked on, keeping their eyes sharp, guarding the Emperor's world against dangers both human, and perhaps not so human. By day, the Emperor was the son of heaven, master of millions. But at night? Even emperors had fears. Imagine being in a palace with thousands of rooms and just as many plots against you. Shadows could hide assassins. Whispers could signal betrayal. The Golden Throne came with sleepless nights. Some emperors demanded guards outside their chambers all night long. Others trusted only eunuchs who had proven loyalty for decades. Doors were triple-bolted. Candles were left burning, not for light, but to keep away lurking spirits, or so the emperor believed. Dreams were important too. A bad dream wasn't just nerves, it was seen as a cosmic warning. Emperors often summoned priests or fortune-tellers at midnight to interpret visions. Imagine being woken up at 2 a.m. just to explain why a dragon appeared in your dream. And then there were personal superstitions. Some emperors kept charms under their pillows. Others made rules about which concubine could sleep near them, based on lucky numbers or astrological charts. The night became less about rest and more about survival. Even in the safest palace in the world, the emperor often lay awake, listening to the faint echoes of the night watch outside. A reminder that while he ruled an empire by day, at night, he was just another man hoping the shadows stayed away. If the emperor was awake, so were the eunuchs. These men, who sacrificed much to serve, were the real night shift of the Forbidden City. They delivered secret messages, tended to lamps, guarded treasures, and made sure the emperor's every midnight need was met. But they weren't just servants, they were power players. Eunuchs controlled access to the emperor. Want to sneak a petition to him at dawn? You'd better be in a eunuch's good graces. Some were trusted so deeply they became the emperor's closest confidants. At night, they were everywhere. Silent figures in long robes moving through corridors, carrying lanterns, unlocking storerooms, or whispering orders. They knew which concubine was with the emperor, which official was in trouble, and which guard had slipped up on duty. Of course, power bred suspicion. Eunuchs spied on each other, reported secrets, and sometimes blackmailed rivals. Some hoarded wealth, others plotted influence, all while pretending to be loyal shadows in the dark. Still, the palace couldn't function without them. They were the gears that kept the night machine running. The emperor might rule by day, but at night, eunuchs ruled the silence. When the palace lights dimmed, another world came alive, the inner chambers of the concubines. Hundreds of women lived within the Forbidden City, each hoping to catch the emperor's eye, each dreaming of power for herself and her family. At night, some were chosen to spend time with the emperor. That decision wasn't romantic, it was political. Eunuchs recorded everything, from who was selected to how long they stayed. Imagine needing a clerk to log your bedtime visits. For those not chosen, the night was filled with whispers. Alliances were made in candlelight, rivals were quietly sabotaged, and rumors spread like wildfire. A single word could lift a family into fortune or ruin them forever. Loneliness was common. Many concubines never saw the emperor after their first introduction. Their lives became a mix of waiting, gossiping, and trying to outshine rivals with beauty, poetry, or dance. But the stakes were deadly serious. Winning the emperor's favor meant titles, wealth, and influence. Losing it meant fading into the shadows, forgotten within golden walls. At night, the Forbidden City wasn't just guarded by watchmen, it was alive with whispered tales of ambition, heartbreak, and power. The most haunting sound in the Forbidden City's night wasn't footsteps or whispers, it was the night drum. Struck at regular intervals, it marked the passing hours until dawn. The drum wasn't just a timekeeper, it was reassurance. Every beat told the emperor and his household that all was well, the watch was alert, and the city was secure. Without it, the silence would have been unbearable. Drummers were carefully chosen. A missed beat or uneven rhythm could cause panic. Superstition said a broken pattern was a bad omen, maybe even a warning of danger. So drummers trained until their hands ached, ensuring the steady rhythm of safety continued until morning. Sometimes, the drum mixed with other sounds, the clack of wooden clappers, the howl of wind, or even the call of distant animals. Together, they created a soundtrack of the night, a strange lullaby for those trying to sleep in the palace. For the common guards, that rhythm was a reminder: stay awake, stay sharp, because the palace, and history itself, was resting on your shoulders. If there was one nightmare worse than assassins, it was fire. The Forbidden City was built mostly of wood, and a single flame could destroy entire halls. At night, fire patrols roamed endlessly, eyes sharp for the smallest glow of smoke. Oil lamps were tightly controlled. Candles were rationed. Even the emperor's chambers had rules about how much light could burn after midnight. Guards carried buckets of water or sand, ready to leap into action at the first spark. Despite all precautions, fires did break out. Some were small, quickly smothered. Others raged so fiercely they scarred the palace for generations. Stories tell of frantic midnight battles, with guards forming human chains to pass water while eunuchs shouted orders. For the people of the Forbidden City, fire wasn't just a danger, it was a constant fear. Every creak in the night could be mistaken for crackling flames. And so, while the emperor dreamed, the fire patrols never rested. The Forbidden City wasn't only guarded against humans. Many believed spirits roamed its halls after dark. With centuries of emperors, concubines, and servants living, and dying, within its walls, it's no wonder ghost stories flourished. Servants whispered about pale figures drifting through corridors, doors opening by themselves, or strange cries echoing in the gardens. Some swore they saw headless soldiers marching in the moonlight, or women in white wandering near the palace wells. Superstition ran deep. Guards often carried charms or muttered prayers when patrolling at night. Even emperors consulted priests to perform rituals, driving away restless souls. Still, the belief lingered: no matter how many soldiers stood watch, the palace belonged as much to the dead as the living. Whether real or imagined, these tales added an extra chill to every midnight step in the Forbidden City. Night was also when schemes unfolded. Officials sent secret messages, eunuchs plotted promotions, and concubines tried to slip bribes to trusted servants. The darkness gave cover for ambition. Some historians believe the most important decisions weren't made in the emperor's court but whispered in quiet chambers at midnight. A word here, a bribe there, and by morning, the empire's future could be quietly redirected. The Forbidden City was more than walls and halls, it was a chessboard. And at night, the game pieces moved in silence. Being a night watchman wasn't glamorous. The hours were long, the shadows creepy, and the punishments for mistakes brutal. But the job came with honor. A good watchman could earn promotion, wealth, even the emperor's notice. Still, the risks were everywhere: fires, assassins, even ghosts if you believed the stories. One slip up and you could be punished, demoted, or worse. Yet, without these men, the palace would crumble into chaos after sunset. They were unsung heroes, the steady heartbeat of the night. When the first rays of dawn touched the golden roofs, the forbidden city came back to life. Gates unlocked, drums ceased, and the night watch ended their rounds. Eunuchs scurried with morning duties, concubines prepared for the day's rivalries, and officials lined up for their audience. The silence of the night dissolved into the chaos of the day. But for a few moments, as the sun rose, the palace glowed with a kind of magic, the golden roofs shimmering, the courtyards waking, the emperor stirring. A reminder that even after the darkest night, light always returned. Even today, the Forbidden City holds mysteries. Tourists walk its halls, but few know what it sounded like at 2 a.m. when only watchmen's clappers echoed. Records remain, but many secrets are lost, hidden in the silence of centuries. What did the watchmen whisper to each other? Which shadows were human, and which were ghosts? How many secrets were born in candlelit rooms, never to be told? The Forbidden City slept each night, but never fully. And perhaps, if you stand quietly enough on its grounds today, you might still hear the faint echo of footsteps, the distant beat of a drum, and the whisper of secrets carried through time. And so, the Forbidden City sleeps once more. Its gates locked, its watchmen gone, but its secrets still lingering in the silence of history. We may never know every whisper carried through those ancient halls, but perhaps, that's what keeps the mystery alive. If you enjoyed this journey into the hidden nights of the Forbidden City, join me again for more bedtime stories from the past. Until then, rest well, and let history guard your dreams. Don't forget to subscribe, so you'll never miss the next story.